It's the Craggy Rugby Podcast. I'm Rob Murphy, and Connacht have lost, not even getting a single losing bonus point in this game, losing by 27 points to 18 in the end. A frenetic game in keeping with a competition that is a frenzy from one game to the next. Alan Deegan, welcome along.
Hi, Rob.
Dave Finn, welcome along.
Good evening.
Good evening indeed. It is a lovely Sunday evening. In fact, it's hard to believe it's December. It's a little bit chilly, but it's looked like a good night for rugby. I listened to your brilliant preview podcast, Alan, and you talked about the weather. I'm sorry to hold you on this one, but your prediction was wrong. It was never as wet as we thought, but a bit of the southwesterly winds you spoke of, still good conditions.
Well, look, I got bloody wet earlier on today, I can tell you, when I got caught in one of those showers, so yeah.
Fair point. Dave, we have to get into the rugby. We're going to get into the post-game pretty quickly, I'd say, and into the in-match first and foremost. But I want your initial takes. Dave Finn, initial take on Connacht's second successive defeat in the Champions Cup that all but, and correct me if I'm wrong, puts them out of contention for the quarterfinals.
Oh, I don't know anymore. You know, 2 games get cancelled because those 2 teams both get COVID. We win, we get 10 points and we get 56 points. We didn't last week. Apparently, we won 8% of our collisions. Did we win 8% of our collisions this week?
That 80-20 rule was gone the other way.
That first half certainly made no sense because they only had 5 points at half time, and yet we had we had the best try scoring opportunities. It was just insane. And then we did something stupid at the start of the first half. We get a yellow card. They get the 2 tries, and the second of those 2 tries is absolutely brilliant. That's worth the admission fee if anybody actually had been able to come in and pay for it. And then they completely lost the plot for 10 minutes, and we didn't take advantage. They have a yellow card that we need to look at again because we might not necessarily have been. That might have been a little bit more dangerous, but we have no screen, so we don't know. And then they promptly scored the 4th try. And then I don't know what happened to us in the last few minutes.
Yeah, they scored that 4th try with 14 men. And they scored that 4th try with 14 men by showing some good wit as well. Alan's off to do a little bit of statistical updates in conjunction with Packy. So while he does that, and we bring him back in on that very point, why don't we hear a little bit of in-match from Alan and William, followed by some post-game press conference when Andy Friend and Paul Boyle pull no punches when speaking about their team.
I'm standing on a very empty, yet again, Clan stand, which seems an awful shame considering who's here with Pat Lam and John Muldoon and Connor and all the others, and Nia Loken actually on the bench. It just seems so wrong, William, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, it's very tough, but there's very little we can do about it. The European music starting. Can you imagine if there was 8,000 people in here now? It would be white hot for this game. But we live in very difficult times, so everybody just has to push on as best we can. Interesting, during the week, Pat Lam said to me, the players are getting used to this now. And I think they are. They're professional sportsmen. They want to win. Both teams need to win. You lose tonight, you're probably out of this competition. So it's a big game. Both sides have gone through a decent warm-up. Bristol, very focused warm-up. Really working hard. It's a nice evening. It's cold. The wind is dropping. The rain has stopped. So let's get it on.
Exactly. And we really are missing the crowd. It has to be said. I'm feeling so lonely here now at this stage. Anyway, we'll talk again in 20 minutes. That's the ball bouncing on the dog track as Connacht clear what could have been a try for Bristol. Would have been the first score of the game. We're 20 minutes in, no score.
Yeah, it's scrappy, Alan. I think the wind's causing a lot of problems for both sides. Neither side really at pace. I'd say Bristol have been the better side. Had a couple of half opportunities, putting a lot of pressure on the Connacht scrum, and they're on the maul. They look pretty dangerous, and they're driving forward again now into the 22. It's going to be a long evening for Connacht if this keeps happening.
It certainly will. We'll hold on and just see if they do manage to get a score out of this. They're 5 metres out, and they've lost the ball. Good D from Connacht. We'll talk again at half-time. Okay, half-time score. Bristol lead 5 points to 3. Silly red penalty given away by Connacht gave Bristol a chance to kick to the corner, and they drove over. Connacht had an opportunity right on half-time to do something similar. It didn't quite make it, but did get a penalty to which Jack slotted. So, very tight.
Yeah, I think Connacht will be glad they're not further behind, really, because they have been put under a lot of pressure, and Bristol haven't been as accurate as they'd expect to be. But they're still well in this game now. We think they're going to have the advantage of this very odd wind, which is a crosswind, and they've got through this first half. Bristol are big, they're awkward, Connacht have been hanging on a bit, so maybe more space will appear in the second half, but this is certainly not going to be one of those 60-70 point games. This is a real hard slog, and Connacht will have to improve in the second half if they're going to get the job done, but only 2 points behind, they'll take it.
Just gone over 60 minutes, and its game definitely has opened up, William. It's now Connacht 10, Bristol 19.
Yeah, serious mistake by Bundyaki to get a yellow card, and Bristol ran in 2 tries. Silly yellow card, and that got them well out. But Connacht have dominated since then, really. Have got a try, bench is starting to clear, so this game is still very much on. You still feel Connacht need to score next. They need to narrow this gap. It's still it's a 9-point gap at the minute, but they had to get that next score, and they did. Going to be very interesting last 20 minutes.
It certainly is. Those bounces are bouncing. Let's see if they can bounce their way to a victory. So the final score, Connacht 18, Bristol 27. Connacht had a chance to kick a penalty at the end, which would have given them a losing bonus point, but they didn't take it and didn't score. Great, brilliant last-ditch tackle in the corner. I couldn't quite see who it was, but disappointing result.
Yeah, they were well beaten, I think. I think Bristol were the better side. They were stronger, they were physical. They bullied Connacht around the pitch at times. I'm not quite sure why they didn't take that losing bonus point, because even if they'd scored a try and a conversion, they still weren't going to win the game. So maybe it wasn't a lack of clear thinking. I mean, would 2 points be enough? You got to win your home games in this 4. But then you might get a game handed to you that you don't expect because of COVID. You could get 5 points from nowhere in January. But it didn't happen, so they're 1 point, and you would have to say that Champions Cup for Connacht really is over at this stage. And there is just a gap in the level. Bristol did nothing today other than be very physical, worked incredibly hard. Their work rate non-stop. And they just made the right decisions at the right time, got the scores, and they're back in business in this competition now.
Andy, just to start with, really, really disappointing, obviously, results. Take nothing from that after such a good performance last week.
Yeah, it is, Rob. We just said at the front end, too. It's just frustrating, mate. It just feels flat, to be honest with you. I didn't see that. I thought we were going to win that game tonight. Even at halftime, I thought both teams were frantic in the first half. There's probably a lot of energy out there, but at halftime, we looked around the shed and we said, "How are we feeling?" Yeah, we're feeling good. Is there anything hurting us? Not really, other than discipline. Anything hurting us? What they're throwing at us attack? No, not really. Sweet. We got a lot of energy. Yeah. So we look good. I thought we looked really good, but as history will tell us now, the opening stanza of that second half hurt us. And the rest is history now.
Yeah, it was a strange first half. They had a lot of chances. I think they had about 6 visits to 22. But at the same time, they only had 1 try because some good turnovers from Connacht. So defensively, the energy even throughout the entire game seemed to be very good from Connacht.
Yeah, we said at the front before the game started, 2 things will win the game. One's defence and one's discipline. And I thought we did defend well, but I didn't think our discipline was what it needed to be. What
do you put that down to in the second half, some of those decisions that were made that cost us so much? I mean, I'm even leaving aside the yellow card, which obviously was crucial. There was, when Connacht got back into the game, there was 2 penalties at line-out time that seemed to be just technical errors, but they were key penalties.
Yeah, it's too hard. Listen, I don't know why, but we couldn't get the ref's mic, so we couldn't hear. Normally, we can hear him and we can hear the AR, so we know exactly what they're saying. And that's probably why I feel a little bit lost at the moment, because we couldn't hear it. We couldn't hear Pete for the whole game. So I'll have to go back, Rob, and have a look. But yeah, listen, we have what we call red penalties, which is just dumbass penalties, and we had a few of them tonight, which will no doubt be called out, and we've got to make sure we're better than that.
Yeah, it's funny because you looking at the character the players showed right to the end, and their determination couldn't be faulted. But Bristol really took advantage of the fact they seemed to play a very high octane, almost very loose game in that second half, and it took us by surprise. It seemed like it did. Do you think it took you by surprise? Well,
they were clever. When we went down to 14, they were clever. They started to move the ball around a lot more. But yeah, prior to that, I mean, that's the way they normally play. And we actually said at half time, listen, it's a compliment they're offering you there, fellas, because they're not playing their normal style. They're kicking the ball a lot. So defensively, we believe we're winning that, but we've got to make sure we don't give them the easy outs, which we didn't do. So at the end of the day, mate, we've got ourselves to blame for that.
It might seem trivial, but we were really baffled in the commentary why we just didn't take 3 points for a losing bonus. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, Paul just talked there before. He's asked the question, and in fairness, I'll back him on it. He probably like myself up in the box too. We thought, well, we're out of Champions Cup. This is a pride thing now, and let's have a go. Because the Challenge Cup didn't really come into the thinking. So again, listen, you're in the heat of battle there. It's easy sometimes in the comfort of a chair, sitting up in a box, thinking I'd be doing something different. But again, as the coach, I trust these young blokes and the decisions they make. So he won't be all over the coals for that at all. It's a learn, and it's something that, at the end of the day, mate, I didn't think we'd need to try and find a bonus point to stay in it, because we wanted to win the game of football.
What difference does it make when it's one of your leaders and your star players who makes a mistake like Bundyaki did? And how does that change how you approach it? I presume it doesn't change it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter who you are. You still got a responsibility to the team. But Bunny wasn't the only one tonight. There was a few there tonight which were just dumbass penalties, and we can't be competing at this level if we keep giving them away.
Paul, it seems like an important juncture, because there's been some really promising signs the last few weeks. You know yourself. You had a high point here a couple of weeks ago, and obviously it was a great effort in Racing, but this is a low point too. So, do you feel like it's a bit of a turning point or a bit of an important kind of juncture for the season?
I think it is, because I suppose myself and Friendly and the team have spoken about it. We don't want to be that team that tries hard and got close and put in a good performance against a good team. We want to be the team that wins, and however we perform to get that doesn't really matter as such if you get the win. So I just think I want this change in mindset to go across not just only the players and the coaches, but the whole of Connacht, that we're going to be a team that wins. But to get that mindset to change, we've got to go and win, and ultimately we didn't tonight.
Yeah, they really seem to bring an awful lot of power. To us, they seem to be just that bit bigger, a bit stronger. How would you respond to that from your perspective?
Yeah, well, again, penalties let them into the game, but when their maul is rolling us backwards, it's hard, because one, it juices your legs, and then it just gives them all the momentum. So I think that was a big part of the game, and I feel if we had got that right, it might have had a different outlook. But that's 2 weeks in a row where our maul has let us down, and you can't blame anyone but ourselves for that. So we have to have a look at that. Do
I get the feeling that the biggest focus for the next game is going to be a mindset thing in conjunction with discipline, obviously?
But when you say mindset, we want to win. We think we're going to win, but it's the mindset that we are going to win, that we're definitely going to win, I suppose. And it's just that change in mindset to get rid of this underdog status that we have. And that was all the talk coming out of the game last week. There was stuff online and stuff just about how Connacht did really well. And like I said to you before, we don't want to be that team that does really well and gets close. We want to be the team that wins, and that comes off the back of wins. And we have 3 big interpros now that we really got to focus on, because we're in a good place in the league, but you could drop down quick enough with a few bad performances. So even though it's disappointing today, we've got to build ourselves back up early on in the weekend and fly into Ulster next weekend.
Okay, so loads to talk about, and as I said in the press conference, this is trivial, but I feel like it just gets to an overall kind of, where's our ruthless killer instinct? Both of you can answer this, but I'll start with Alan. All right, they've explained it. Paul Boyle has said, we just looked at it as we were out of the Champions Cup at that stage, and we wanted to finish with a try and make a bit of a statement. That's fine. That's his mindset. And Andy said, as a supplementary point to me, they probably hadn't considered at any point being in the Challenge Cup, so that wasn't really in the mindset anyway. So that's their explanation. My problem with that is, when those fixtures come up in January, that they'll tell us, we're going out to win, and we're going out to win both games. And if you're doing that, and if they do win both games, Alan, they're in the Challenge Cup guaranteed, possibly in the Champions Cup. They've just thrown away a point there, and it could be the difference between 10 points and 9 points.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm standing there going, what are you doing, guys?
Just
take 3 points. Like, you get a losing bonus point. Like, the chances of you scoring there, there's one of the Brendan Shields or someone like that's done a load of stats on, when teams kick to the corner rather than taking the points, and it's 80-20, and you should be taking your points. You only have a 20% chance of scoring. 80% of the time you should take the 3 points, is what he's saying, and 20%. Doesn't mean you score 20%, but the point is 80% of the time the better option is the 3 points. Well, Munster showed it yesterday. You just keep scoring your 3 points and your 3 points and your 3 points. You don't have to score a try. You just have to score. You just have to score. And the game has gone sometimes, especially when you're playing against a team as big and physical as Bristol are.
Pushing them over.
No, we weren't getting over the gain line. We were being, as I would call it, bullied, as we always are when we play against English teams, because we try and smash them, and you're not going to smash men who are bigger than you, and that's what they love. They love that. They love that physical thing.
Did you see the cheer they had? The biggest cheer of the game was stopping Sammy Arnold scoring in the corner at the end.
Yeah. There again, there was an element of their bench was somewhat louder than our bench. It has to be said. It felt like we were at a Bristol game rather than a Connacht game.
In defence, I think that was just the way the game went. They were winning the collisions, and I think the noise comes from the collision domination rather than necessarily. And because Connacht had a couple of moments where the noise came when they had their moments. Dave, anything further to add to that whole not taking the losing bonus point? Just stay in the competition as long as you possibly still have a chance, and they really should take it.
I still do. I mean, it would have been. I just wonder, and I mean, I know it's clear enough. I will raise this issue of the 28-0 5-point victories for no games. I think that's going to. This both backs up Alan's argument. Actually, probably backs it up more than it doesn't, in the sense that points differential is being completely distorted. I mean, Leon, forget it, they're effectively through now.
You just take every match point that's there, and we left one behind us, and it's a bit of a head scratcher. All right, we have a bigger problem though, because we're going to face physical, big, strong, top quality Pro 14 sides for the next 3 rounds, Alan, and I'm a bit concerned that despite some lovely skill set. Dave, do you want to come in here first? Sorry, we've been hand up there. Go.
I want to make a bit was that we also are getting some big bodies back. I think you have to accept. Could you imagine what Abraham Papaidi would up against Nathan Hughes today? I mean, I'm not dissing Paul Boyle, I'm not dissing Conor Irvine, but the only player that was smaller than his immediate opponent on the Bristol team was the scrum half. Everybody else, 1 to 15, was bigger. They are a big boy. We are struggling with it. We needed our biggest guys, and they just were not available.
Yeah, it's the second row. You can't keep playing with one second row, one definitive second row.
Masterson's been doing very well.
He has, and he had another good game there tonight. But we're talking
Quinn Rue, Gavin Torbury.
Yeah, you're talking big physical bulk. They had 4 guys, I think it was, over 110 kgs. We did not, and that means you're going to lose. You're going to lose a lot of straight up collisions, because it takes more. You know, sometimes that bulk and that weight is needed at times. I think Quinn Rue was badly missed tonight.
Yeah, Quinn Rue is the type of player who always goes well against English sides. I seem to remember in places like Northampton and Gloucester and everywhere else, he always seems to come out as one of our best players. He loves English sides. We need more Quinn Rues for English sides.
No question, and it's the same on the international level. It's because it becomes just a pure physical battle. Like there's no nuance. It's just bang, smash, wallop, and you need a bang, smash, wallop person, and that's Quinn Rue.
I think the other element of what Bristol are about, and possibly why they've just gone a little bit above some other sides in the league and got to semi-finals, is because Pat Lam has embraced the abrasive English rugby scene, and he's added in his high octane, give it a go, trust your skill set, as we saw tonight. That's kind of a nice combination.
Remember when I used to go, wish Connacht would just kill a game and make it boring for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
I think Bristol fans have gone through that. There was no logical reason why we should score 2 tries after they got their third try.
Giving us the ball. They're like,
I bring it back to an issue, and this is the madness of all. You play a rugby league convert in his first game, and one of the first few. Now they gave him sod all ball, and he did well with it. That sounded like a train.
Yeah, it sounds like. Has the docks opened up? Is there bigger ships coming in?
But we chipped the ball in behind him. Now, normal wingers, not Pat Lam wingers, pick that up, pass it to fullback, or turn around and kick it out. No, he decides he's going to run under his post, come out, and then chip it up.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, that's mad. But then again, the risk reward, you do that, we end up scoring. But then you do the other thing, and Piers O'Connor goes the length of the pitch. It is. No other team in English rugby is doing that, because they're either going to throw it out the back or they're going to mix and match, but much more structured. It's Exeter without the common sense. That's what that is. That's why I liked it. But if you're a Bristol fan, you're going to lose a good few games doing that sort of stupid. But
I guess Bristol are coming from kind of right. Okay, they have money, unlike us, but they're coming from a base where they just are sick of being a yo-yo side and struggling in second tier, and they're like, yeah, we'll take a bit of that risk. That's the way we. Do you remember when we lost that quarter final to Grenoble? I'll never forget it. I feel like it's like one of the most defining games of the Pat Lam era, and it kind of spoke to why we won the title, and also spoke to why we were crazy at times.
Oh, without question. But, you know, you have to look at it. They have won something already. They've won a Challenge Cup.
Yeah.
It's not as though they haven't won something. They've won a Challenge Cup, and they're up there, and they're playing Well, the second half was enjoyable rugby. The first half was a strange game. Wasn't worth watching. I don't know what was going on out there.
It was intense, though.
No, it was probably more for the purist in that there was an awful lot of kicking and there was an awful lot of beef stuff going on. And for me, the game turned on Bundyaki with a silly tug of a jersey that probably wasn't required, which gave them a chance to score 2 tries, which they took.
Do you know what sickens me about that too is just the way we started second half was so good. I'm trying to remember, but I think Alex Wooten did something really good. I think Conor Oliver did something really good. I think Matt Healy did something really good. Yeah. And I think then, that's 90 seconds. And then they have a break, which they earned and forced, and we don't have to do what Bundyaki did.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we needed to do it. I don't think there was a particular reason to do it. It's just maybe just one of those reactionary things that you do, and it's a bit unfortunate. But we kept going, we kept fighting.
That's a good point. I've seen us lose a lot of these games to English sides. Dave, do you want to come in here as well? And I haven't seen enough fight. Right to the bitter end, I saw a fight. So if people are like, not liking the attitude Connacht teams, I push back. If you don't like the discipline, we're all on that side. But the attitude in terms of throwing your body in and giving it everything, God, that wasn't found one.
No, I think to a certain degree the lack of discipline comes from the attitude, in the sense that you're so desperate to be doing something to stop them that you
come in from the side.
Yeah, you instinctively do stuff because you see the ball, you see the man, you don't necessarily use your brain. I saw games last weekend involving teams, and I will say this, some English teams where their attitude stank from minute one. I'm not questioning the attitude. The players wanted to win that game. That's why it's what happened after that. There was a lack of smarts. I suppose it's the only way. There was a lot of smarts. The pullback is a lack of smarts because Sammy Arnold was getting there.
Jack Ainger in from the side in a maul. That's just a key point.
Yeah, that's a lot.
A good impact in terms. Again, a prime example. He had 4 great tackles. He was He had a couple of clear-outs that were sensational. But then he goes in from the side and he blows it all.
But it's momentary. It's again. Those were individual moments and individual errors, and they were lack of smarts at specific moments.
And that comes from pressure. That comes from the pressure that was being applied by the English team, who were doing everything really well. They didn't make that many mistakes. I thought they were really, really impressive. Steve Luatua is a fantastic.
So I was good because I was going to talk about Randell and a few others, but Luatua was my star. He is incredible.
He was just at the right time, at the right place. He did the right thing, and they did that more often than we did. And they were hugely impressive. And I have to say, it was great watching the Paddleham team again.
2 fantastic second rows. Earl is brilliant. Stop. So, and I did like Randell. I thought he was the perfect scrum half for that powerful pack. Scrum halves love a pack going forward, but still.
I was trying to work out initially what Randell was doing, because he kicked more ball in the first 20 minutes than when Pat was here than we kicked in the season. He was really good. And now I'm going to slightly veer up because this is to do with TV coverage. I don't know an awful lot of that Bristol team because I don't see them, because I don't have the BT deal. So therefore I don't see a lot of Premiership. So he's a new name to me. Pierce O'Connor I'm vaguely aware of. Some of the loose head, Woolmore.
What a game he had. I have not seen Beelan beaten like that in the scrum ever, and that's going back to his academy days. He was beaten by a brilliant loose.
Oh yeah, superb. And then again, and Ben Earl, I know him because he's in the England squad. That's a debate for another day. But those guys were superb. That was a collective pack effort across the board. They bet us up. They bring Nathan Hughes off, and he looked tired. And they bring a lad in again, Daniel Thomas. No real idea. I think he might be Welsh. I'm not sure.
Joyce, the Irish.
Joyce came on. The 2 loose, and Max Laheef, who's been around for donkeys.
Foa, looked like a 26-year-old. He's 37.
No. There's many things John Afoe has never looked. When John Afoe looked 40 when he was 6.
That's a really good point. And looks, but I mean, the type of carries and tackles he was putting in, I was just like, how does a man of that age still bring that much to a rugby pitch?
It's enthusiasm. It's enthusiasm. It comes from on high. Look at Pat. At least Andy and Pat are basically cut from the same. Which is basically they're enthusiastic rugby players, go out and play rugby, and that feeds into it. So John Afoa, under certain coaches, throughout his career, possibly at clubs in England, would never have snapped up a loose ball off a kick-off. It just wouldn't have happened.
Just for the record, I think he's walking out in a few seconds. So can someone point out? I said he looks 26, and you said he looks 46. Can we just make sure he knows the difference between who we are?
Absolutely, yeah.
His buddy.
Fabulous rugby player, though. You know, and you look at. I was looking back at his record.
His career is going to be. It's fantastic.
He's been at 2 clubs where he's played over 100 games, and now he's well on his way to his 4th club where he's played over 50 games, and phenomenal rugby player.
Lads, it's great to be out. It's great to be talking rugby. These are tough times for everyone. It's a difficult enough Christmas. Wherever you are, enjoy it. I hope you're enjoying the rugby. Don't be too downhearted, because Connacht still seem to have so much positive about them, but we got to be realistic. This is an alarming kind of defeat.
Well, it might be alarming that you could look at, crikey, we've got Ulster up next and they might win, and then you've got Leinster away and they'll probably win, and then you've got Munster here and crikey, they could win.
It's a alarming. You shook your head there, and you're right. I'm just saying, it just has me going, this could be a juncture. That's what I said to Paul Boyle.
Yeah, well, we were here the championship winning season. We went on a bit of a losing streak as well.
That's what's worrying me.
Yeah.
It's more the possibility of what might come than the actual defeat to a very, very good side.
Yeah, you'd worry from that point of view, but you'd hope that guys like Gavin Thornby, I saw looked like he was 24th man at least tonight, coming back, he'd make a big difference. Quinn Rue coming back, another one who'll make a big difference. Another guy.
Worried about Alex Wootton, hope he's okay.
Yeah, well, he's playing an awful lot of rugby, and
started every game this season.
Yeah, it looked like it was one of those injuries that looked like a groin injury. Certainly, that's what it was. An indication was.
Give me a break.
Yeah, could be in one of those things. But then you've got a lot of guys who want to come in and show what they're about, and there's enough fellas there in the background who are keen and want to show. Like Dave would have seen a fair few of them on Friday at the A game, and
that's what I was going to do. I was segueing to it. I mean, you're not presenter today. You're just. I know you're good at it and all that, but that's not your job now. Just listen, listeners. Can you pretend that I'm segueing this rather than Alan and make me sound good? Is there any way of doing that with the edit? I don't think so. Just go to the clip. Here they are talking about the A match, which is going to be really important at this stage in the conversation.
Well, Dave, we've just seen both sides coming off here on a sunlit afternoon at the Sports Ground, where it has finished Connacht Eagles 19, Ulster A 19. Pick the bones out of that for me.
It was typical what you'd expect at this time from the Eagles. Some of the stuff was very good. The starting 15 did very well. They'll probably feel a little bit disappointed in the first half. They were on top, but they didn't really create enough clear-cut chances, and they got over the, anytime they got near the line, it was chipped over, and there was good scramble defence. But there was some very good performances. Some guys, Conor Fitzgerald, I thought, dictated the game very well, played well with Colin Riley and Stephen Kearns when he came on. Very impressed with Donnacha Byrne at 8. Even the guys who were reasonably quiet today still were putting in big hits and stuff. And I suppose overall it kind of did get shapeless, and they did lose their discipline when all the subs came on. But there's an inevitability about that with especially with younger lads, that they're sometimes their enthusiasm overrides their discipline. But I think they'll be quite delighted. I think Eric will be very happy. I mean, given that some of the guys that started for Ulster, I think they'll be satisfied, not completely happy, but not bad at all.
Yeah, the Connacht starting out halves really did have control of that game for long periods. Conor Fitzgerald in particular getting a lot of good passes away, and as you say, maybe once the substitutions came on. But who else stood out for you maybe in the pack?
I was very impressed with Donnacha Byrne. He's not someone I've seen an awful lot of, but he does impress me. Thought Darren Murray started very well, especially he's like his brother. He's tall, he's gangly, but he gets around the field well, and he's very, very good for such a tall guy to get down and pick up loose ball. I was impressed by Conor Kenny when he came on. There was problems with the scrum. I think both Matty Burke and Dominic Robinson-McCoy would feel a little bit disappointed that they got pinged in the scrum. Conor Kenny came on, got 2 penalties, and was prominent in the loose as well. Oisin McCormack was Oisin McCormack. He probably quieter than he can be, but still was putting in the big hits. Oisin Dowling, did well, and we have to say the moment of the match was Dylan Tierney-Martin's offload for Oisin McCormack's try. It was just he was taking a mick there. He really was.
So that's the story here. It's finished 19 each. We'll see how many of these players come through. Connacht a lot of rugby in the next few weeks.
Final thoughts. Well, we've just heard a bit from Dave Finn about the A, so we'll get the final thoughts from Dave second. Final thoughts, Alan.
Another great performance on Owen Masterson in the second row, I have to say.
Yes, glad you said that, because I know he's out of position. Wow.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. I thought Kieran had his best game in a while as well. Kieran Marmion had his best game in a while. I thought Jack was really fired up tonight. I think he had something to prove to his former coach, and I think he was well up for it as well. So some good performances.
Matt Healy, how was he having, Matt?
Yeah, Matt was excellent. Matt was excellent tonight. Geez, a couple of magnificent clearance kicks were just...
That left boot. Yeah. It's like Mark McHugh-esque. That's going back into the archives.
It certainly is. No, he had a cracking game. A lot of guys had good games tonight. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite good enough.
Just wondering, I think Mark McHugh is right-footed, but we'll leave that in there. I meant just in terms of strength of boot. That's what I meant. I didn't mean the left or right. I really did need to emphasise that. He was right-footed. Sorry. Anyways, okay, carry on. Final thoughts after all my crazy thoughts. I think my scattered thoughts there just sum up the way Bristol played rugby.
Yeah, I mean...
Brilliant thoughts.
I just want to make sure I know where I'm going to watch that game, because I think the game over there could be absolutely mad. I mean, last week was mad. I think my biggest thought about this is what a shame Bristol aren't playing Racing. What a shame, because that would have been a fantastic. Yeah, it's an awful lot. There are things that are fixable. There's an awful lot of that is fixable. Some things aren't fixable. We're not suddenly all going to get 10Ks over the course of the next week, but we're going to get the legs. As usually, Quinn will be back, hopefully, and Gavin definitely should be back next week, and Abraham, and please God, let them have worked on his tackling technique. But if we just, as long as when we have the ball and he has the ball, he can do things, and I don't think that the other teams are fully aware of what he's capable of. But I don't think it could be a juncture, and we could end up. We don't know. It could be it could be a turning point, but it could also be a turning point for good. But we won't know till next week, and that makes next week even more fascinating, because Ulster really will be sore after what happened to them.
This is going to be a great fixture. This day next week as we record, or the 27th of December as you listen, at 7:30, Connacht versus Ulster. We'll have podcasts in between where we can. It is Christmas, a very happy Christmas to everyone. Won't wish you Happy New Year, because we'll be back before then. That's pretty much it for me. Can I throw some random prediction at you, right? Bristol go away to Claremont, lose, which I think they will. They go into the last game, big Premiership game the following week. Connacht sneak a 1-point win against Racing. We may really regret that losing bonus point going, because I'm going to say something pretty radical after what we just saw there. I wouldn't put it past Connacht winning over there.
No, I could see them possibly doing that. I think I think the biggest thing...
Competition is strange.
It is, it's weird, and I think the biggest thing Connacht missed tonight was the crowd. It's awful lonely here. I said it earlier on, but it's awful lonely without the crowd. It's really
actually, it's genuinely creepy. It feels...
We miss you, folks.
Yeah,
we miss you. That's what we're saying.
And also this...
most of our listeners are usually around us.
There's nothing... I have no problems with Genesis. The company is great. The response in Connacht, but to be honest with you, a large orange sign is not the lunatics in front in the clan.
Yeah, that's what's underneath us here. Hey, listen, it does their work. All right, that's it. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you during the week.
We would like to thank all our patrons for their support in helping keeping the podcast going. If you would like to help ensure that we can keep providing the most comprehensive coverage of Connacht rugby, you can do so by logging on to patreon.com/CraggyRugby, and for less than the price of a cup or a pint a month, hit the join button. You can also spread the word about our podcast to anyone with even the faintest interest in Connacht rugby and asking them to have a listen. You can let us know what you think of our coverage by contacting us on our Twitter handle @CraggyRugbyPod, or by sending an email to craggyrugby@gmail.com. You can go to craggyrugby.com to listen to our back catalogue of over 300 episodes that cover the last 5+ seasons of the highs and lows of not only the Connacht men's professional team and the Eagles, but also the exploits of the Connacht women's team in the Interpros. Remember, you can listen to us on your favourite podcast player by asking Alexa or Siri to play a Craggy Rugby podcast, or you can now even get us on YouTube. Just search for Craggy Rugby.
Loose, cut it loose. Break out or nothing changes. Side